Hello everyone out there in YouTube land. Came across something interesting today. I was going through some stuff and I found this old Star Wars Galaxies Fan Fest June 2004 brochure, whatever you want to call it. Kind of going over what's going on for that day. And I feel like it's good to record this. I might scan this at a later date. I don't know. We'll see how I'm feeling. But I feel like there's not really any information about this particular fan fest out there right now, and I feel like it's a good idea to do that. My cat's knocking shit off another table, but don't worry about that, all right? Don't worry about that. It's not about you, it's about me. But yeah, it's crazy. I don't remember a whole lot about this fan fest, but hopefully me going through this will kind of get some memories out there once again. And you know, he's quiet all day long, but when I start recording he goes crazy, but that's why we love him. So let's go to the first page. Actually, let's get up real close so you can kind of appreciate it. Star Wars Galaxies Fan Fest. You have a Wookiee with a vibro lance, I believe that was. Got a lady in a nice dress, probably was a dancer. Who knows who these other wacky characters are and what they're into. But yeah, so on the first page, you have what is apparently the Bazaar and Gaming terminals are open. Star Wars Galaxies Team Forum, Star Wars Galaxies Civil War Forum, and this was kind of interesting because this was kind of like an open forum where like a lot of these events, people would go there and the developers would be there and they would answer questions or whatnot. And I have a very specific memory from this particular, let me get this better in frame. From this particular fan fest that I still recall often, although a lot of it's kind of a blur. But I'll kind of go into details. And also kind of go a little bit into my my squanderies and whatnot with the game that I had at the time. You had the PvP forum, hybrid professions, game raid for player association, melee combat, bazaar, gaming terminals. So I don't really remember a lot of these and what these were. And then PvP forum, promenade. There was a buffet, and they had like a costume. Was that on this one? Yeah, preliminary costume judging. Sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed, but that's the struggle we go through. Yeah, just kind of going through. I honestly can't remember, but this is where the real details are. The Thursday evening, you pick up the badge and we check in for a hotel. Fun fact, the guy who I went with this fan fest with my brother and this friend we both had. I won't say his name, but it was this guy that I'm going to show right now. This guy who was in the Oblivion behind the scenes, and this is what he says.
Morrowind changed my life. I don't know about that.
And I believe the guy in the middle, he's the guy the get the tank guy. That's that guy. I think I could be wrong, but that was definitely him on the far right who I went with this event with. It was kind of interesting because he was one of the first 10 Jedis in the game, I think, total, including all the servers. And that's a whole nother story where it was like, you know, in order to unlock Jedi, you had to, you know, master professions, and it had to be 3 professions, and which 3 professions you had to master varied from person to person. But yeah, let's see. But let's go. name of 10 Wookiee sound-alike competitors posted at registration desk. Hilarious. Strong gaming badge. You also got a free T-shirt. So registration desk and T-shirt pickup close. Actually, let's close this real quick. So here is my badge that I got from Star Wars Galaxies Fan Fest way back when. I would show the other side, but I don't want to dox myself. So let's just leave this over here for the viewing audience. But yeah. Drink carts are open, ballroom's open, and that's kind of was just like the general meeting area where a lot of the events happened. Dinner's served. Fan Film Fest live. Again, I don't. It's crazy. I went here and I remembered it, but I just don't remember anything. Oh, here we go. Dinner and reception and seating. I don't know what this is in reference to. And I'll do a close up with these after the fact, because I don't think it's probably gonna tear this thing in half trying to do this one handed. Oh, seating chart. Okay, so yeah, I was on Hahazi, so I'd be in AH. Again, I might be ruining this a little bit, but this isn't like this was obviously photocopied, so I'd be AH, so I'd be on these 3 tables, maybe more. No, these 6 tables. These 5 tables? 6 tables, yeah. So I was in these 6 tables because I was on Hahazi, and I only know that because I just checked the back of this badge, and it did say that, hey, I was on this server. It was a really cool and interesting thing. I definitely enjoyed it, even though I don't really remember a whole lot about it, except for one thing, which I'm going to bring up. Actually, 2 things that I'll bring up. Star Wars Galaxies, Wookiee sound-alike competition, rules and regulation. Think you have the best Chewie imitation ever. Sign up at the registration desk. Ask for a chance to enter in the competition. Sign up forms will be accepted from 10 to 5 p.m. on Friday. Only 10 contestants chosen, random to complete. Names of the chosen contestants will be posted. Contestants must present. Blah blah blah. Costume, whatever. Rules and information. And yeah, I don't remember a lot about the costume contest. This was way back when, before this was commonly known as cosplay. This would probably be called the cosplay convention, but this was all the way back in 2004. So yeah. Live Adventure. Compete in the Star Wars Galaxies Live Adventure Counter Promenade between 5 a.m. and 11:45 p.m. on Saturday. 8 participants, squads. Over 2 hours, the squads will compete in a number of physical and mental challenges, which may engage with the deal of wheeling and dealing with other groups to recover 5 data discs. First squad to fire all the data discs are declared the winners. Second and third place will be determined at a later date. And that was essentially it. Now, I know there's not a lot to this. I actually had a poster that I think I got from this, but that thing got torn up. I think I threw it away at some point because it was like half, like the corners were just not even there. They were torn off. It was such a mess, but it was like, but yeah, it was just such a weird time. This was still when people weren't using Sound Blaster devices and whatnot. This did take place in Anaheim, if you didn't know. Because like didn't Sound Blaster have this whole thing where they were intentionally like adding bad sound drivers so that people would have to upgrade and stuff like that at a later date? It's funny. This was still when people still liked Sound Blaster. I forget the name of the company. Is it Creative Labs? But yeah, not a whole lot to this. But again, there's not a lot of information about this fan fest really out there that I'm aware of. And so my stories that I'm going to go into. The first story that I remember very vividly was, I think it was at one of these. It was like probably the PvP forum or one of the like class class like discussions. I forget which one, but one of those. Because this was back right after they nerfed. Because I remember, I forget the name of the class, but Imperials, they could have like 2 or 3 ATSTs, and they were so overpowered, and they would kill people all the time. And obviously they nerfed it, and it took a lot just to have one ATST. And I remember this guy going up there, and it's like, listen, it's my right. I can have an ATST. I can have as many as I want. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, it's one thing to post it on the forum, it's another thing to actually go to the developers or whoever was holding that panel at the time, and be like, no, I want all 3 ATSTs. You're going to give them to me. Hilarious. Probably the second thing I really remember was, and this was pretty crazy, forget the guy's name. I'll probably put it in here in post. But we were at another. This wasn't at the big like promenade thing where you had all those seats. It was just like kind of one of those weird side rooms. And they were showing something off. I forget what they were. But we were just sitting there, me and my friend, and we were like, holy shit, is that the developer? And they're like, yeah, that's him. That's him right there. And he was like probably like 5 feet away from me. And we were just like, wow, crazy. It was interesting because the guy in that video who said Morrowind changed his life or whatever he said, I don't remember. He knew a lot of people at the fan fest because he was one of the top 10 Jedis, and he had to do a lot of talking around. And he knew a lot of people, but I didn't. So I'd be just sitting there like, yeah, nice to meet you too. You know him really well? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Video games are great. And but yeah, I think it's weird. It was so long ago. Actually, probably almost a little bit over 20 years. Crazy, I know. But I still have weird fond memories of this place, despite it kind of just being a giant blur for a lot of it. I'm sure if I saw videos of it, a lot would flood back to me. In fact, if you at home have any memories from the 2004 or even the other Star Wars Galaxies Fan Fest, be sure to leave a comment and let me know what your experiences with that place was. But definitely if you have any photos or videos, because I guarantee you there's a young Mr. C somewhere out there in the audience if you look really hard and squint. But I think even if I'm not in any of those photos or videos, I would love to just see anything from those events, because I don't think there's really anything out there right now, because there's just not that much information out there nowadays. I looked it up recently on YouTube, and there was someone who did a video of the 2005 FanFest, but not the 2004. I think 2004 was the first one, and I think it was just some growing pains, but it was still a very interesting event nonetheless. But I still have really fond memories with this game, as flawed as it was. For example, we would sit there and try to there's this bug, right, where you would get these missions to get money or credits. And what we would do is we found out that if you went to the missions that had you kill a hive, but those hives had mobs around there that didn't aggro, we would go inside of the hive, kill the hive from the inside. Meanwhile, all the animals on the outside would try to heal it or whatever, and then we wouldn't fight anything. We would just kill it real quick. I think that eventually got patched out. Also, that same guy, he apparently he would scam people out of crystals, because only Jedis could see if the crystals were good or not. And this was obviously pre-combat update and pre-new game experience. But he would be like, hey, I have this crystal, is it good? And it would be like a really good crystal, and you'd be like, that's an okay crystal, or that's a really bad crystal. I'll give you this much for it. And they'd be like, okay, whatever. Meanwhile, they gave him an amazing crystal. But yeah, also I also remember this from back in the day. There's probably some footage of this out there of the very first Jedi that got it, and he busted out his lightsaber, and people thought it was fake because the lightsaber didn't really look that great when it was out. And it was just so funny because people were like, he's like, no, he's not a real Jedi. He didn't make it, but I guess he made it. But yeah, my that guy, I think he was one of the first 10 Jedis ever. My brother, funnily enough, he was also playing at the time. He did every job, and I think he got to like musician musician or dancer, and then he was like, all right, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not gonna dance around to unlock Jedi. Meanwhile, I was the opposite, where I was just like, I'm bounty hunter. I'm fine with just being bounty hunter. I think this wasn't combat update. Maybe it was post combat update, but they had a feature where those who are more force sensitive, they would be approached by a man, and that man would give you a quest, and he would always approach me and be like, no, I don't want the quest. I don't want to be a Jedi. Get out of here. But yeah, really interesting time. Not a lot of information out there. Again, the more information we get out about this, the better. And does this mean I'm going to be becoming a Star Wars Galaxies channel and talking about Star Wars Galaxies all the time? Probably not. You know, unless a lot of information comes out about these early fan fests, I might talk about those, especially 2004, because I was obviously there. But other than that, thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you on the other side with the Force. There you go. I tied it all in together. Have a good one, everyone. I know this is so interesting, isn't it? Well, it is kind of interesting what we have today.